Hey guys! Today I wanted to show you how my cloning machine works. I've been meaning to make this video for a while now, and I finally have some time to do it, so let's get into it. All these cloning techniques have been around for quite some time, but every situation is different, so here is how I adjusted them for my videos. This is a scene from my video for Bittersweet. The technique I used here is called a split screen. Basically, I just needed to film myself twice on different sides of the scene. Here is the first take with me on the right, and here is the second one with me on the left. Then I just make a rectangular mask in one shot, and the second shot becomes visible. There are only two things to keep in mind here. First, don't move the camera and the lights, and second, keep the distance. Because if you start to move your hands around and one of yourselves overlaps with another, you will have a lot of masking to do, and it may not look that good in the end. The cloning machine works even better with a solid color background, especially if you don't have that much space. I have a black backdrop, and in some cases it helps a lot, and in others not so much, and I will tell you why in a moment. I used this technique for the outros of Bittersweet, Everybody Wants to Rule the World, and Wicked Game vs. Faster mashup. The close-ups in these videos are, well, very close, and I didn't have much space to move in real life. So instead, I scaled down and moved the filmed clips and just feathered the masks. I used the same idea for my first two a cappella videos, Game of Thrones and Schindler's List main themes, and for my cover of Don't Fear the Reaper. I filmed everything on the same backdrop, and as you can see, I didn't even need to tidy up my room, because I knew that I would just mask it all out. And I didn't need to trace the mask that precisely either. I only have a rough silhouette. And then I feathered and extended it a bit so I won't be transparent. This is where the dark color in the background really helps. When you feather it out, it looks like a shadow on lower layers. And in my opinion, it looks more realistic this way. I also have a color matte on the lowest track, so there's always a solid color that matches my real backdrop, and everything blends more smoothly. Overall, this method is fairly simple and fast. I needed only about 2 days to edit these a cappella videos. But things got more complicated when I came up with the idea for Wellerman, and consequently for My Mother Told Me. I wanted my pirates to sit on a chest, presumably with some treasures inside, and I actually have a chest like this at home. It was passed down to me through generations, and now it lives on top of a cupboard. However, when I took it down from there, it turned out that it looked much bigger than it actually was, and only one person could sit on it, especially if that person was wearing a puffy skirt. I tried to solve this problem for a couple of days, trying different camera angles, but I gave up in the end and decided that I will need to somehow Photoshop a bigger chest. By trial and error, I found out that the chest looks realistic only if I make it no more than 2 times wider. Otherwise, it becomes a really weird bench. And so only 3 pirates could sit on it now. But I had 2 more voices and 2 more outfits. So I decided that these pirates should be just standing on the sides. This brings us to another issue. For almost 2 years now, I've been filming solely in my apartment, using only the equipment that I own. And I don't have that much space to film in, as we discovered previously. And unfortunately, I only have 1 lens for my camera. And this lens couldn't go wide enough to film me full length, even if I set it up as far as I could. But as I already knew that I would have a lot to do in post, I just decided to flip the camera and film vertically. It actually also allowed me to be more flexible with scaling the shots that I got this way. Changing the backgrounds and cloning at the same time can be very tricky, because you need to place your characters on top of a new background layer, and each character needs to be masked out very neatly, so there won't be anything spilling from their old background. So I used a rotoscoping tool in After Effects to create and track more precise masks. And sometimes I had to combine multiple layers with different masks. Like here, I precisely rotoscoped the lower part so the skirt would be separate from the trunk, but it was really hard to separate my dark hair and black hat from the background. Yeah, in this case, the dark backdrop doesn't really work that well. But I didn't need the mask to be that fine here anyway, because it would still be placed over the same background. So I used another layer with a round feathered mask to blend it better. I basically used all the same techniques for my Vikings in My Mother Told Me. The real benches were much smaller, so I widened them in Photoshop and then masked out and placed all my Vikings around the fire. Of course, you can use a green screen to avoid all that hassle. However, for it to work properly, you need a few lights to evenly light the green screen itself, and then another set of lights to light the character. And I don't have that much gear, so I've never managed to make it work properly. But I will have to become friends with the green screen soon, because I want to use it in the future videos that I plan to set in my virtual universe. And if you want to learn more about this new project, check out my Patreon and Ko-fi pages. Bonus fact! Sometimes masking just doesn't work. In the outro for Don't Fear the Reaper, the scythe just wouldn't cooperate, so I decided that my Reaper would appear from thin air in a puff of smoke. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to my channel, it really helps a lot. And if you'd like to support my creative efforts even more, check out my Patreon and Ko-fi pages. Stay well and safe, and I will see you soon. Bye!